Critter Trades here, and I did a 3,000 mile road test to see if automatic cruise control is better than regular cruise control. So, before we get into the numbers and the positives and negatives of both of these systems, I'm going to go over what I did for this test. So, I drove 3,000 miles from Michigan to Florida while we were going on their vacation for spring break, and we drove about 1,400 miles each direction. And one way I used the normal cruise control, and on the other way I used the automatic cruise control. I'm going to go over both the systems. I use the same vehicle, same load and everything like that, same route. So we should have pretty similar numbers to look at when we're comparing the two of these. So first we need to look at what are the differences between automatic cruise control and normal cruise control. So when you're on normal cruise control, the only time your car will differentiate from the normal cruise control set speed is if you are going down a hill, for example, or if there's an override by the driver. You hit the gas, you hit the brake, you change the set speed, for example. It will run right into the car in front of you. If you let it, it will go through stop signs, those sorts of things. Now, automatic cruise control is a little bit different because not all cars are created equal. Some of them can sense stop lights and stop signs and will stop for those. Most of the cars that are out there today have the cameras on the front that will use them to see the lanes and things like that for lane keep assist. And also the cameras will be used to see the car in front of you and match your speed and distance away from that vehicle. This car that I'm using is a 21 Jeep Grand Cherokee. It will set a set distance between you and the cars in front of you. If there's no cars in front of you, it will speed up to your set speed. If there are cars in front of you, it will maintain that distance that you set, and you can change the distance to be closer or further away. Now, I've tried it a couple times on shorter trips, and my thoughts are that I don't really like it. And that was kind of before I did this test. I didn't really think it was very useful unless you're doing really long cruises on the highway. So I thought it would be a little bit better when I'm doing this really long cruise on the highway, and we'll see if my thoughts stay the same on it. When I have used it, it's worked fine. I don't have any issues with it. My one big issue with it, and that I'm curious to see if I hear about other people that have the same issue. So if you do have the same issue as me, please let me know it down in the comments. Or if you really love your automatic cruise control, I'd love to hear about that as well, because I'm curious people's thoughts on it. So the one issue I have with it is it doesn't seem very fuel efficient, because if it sees a car up ahead of you, if the car's too far away to get in your range and you're going a lot faster than that car, it will maintain your set speed, and then once it gets close enough, it will kind of slam on the brakes to slow down to make sure it maintains that set distance. And that isn't really good for your fuel economy. It's better to coast up to that car as you get closer, so you don't waste gas by hitting the brakes and wasting your fuel, basically. And cruise control, normal cruise control, does have this limitation as well, but typically you don't have a choice to let it run up to the next car. You have to be paying attention and turn it off on your own. So I thought that the automatic cruise control would be more efficient, and I thought you would have to have less input from the driver to maintain that efficiency. And now, after doing the tests though, here, let's look at the numbers first, and then I'll give you my thoughts on it. So the numbers were actually better for the automatic cruise control, which really surprised me, and I think I have a suspicion why. The numbers were 22.9 with the automatic cruise control and 22.6 with the regular cruise control. My first initial thought is I think the automatic cruise control is actually worse mileage, and the reason I think that is because when we drove back on a weekend, so there's a lot less traffic. When I was using the regular cruise control, there was a ton of traffic. We were in stop and go, so I was constantly having to turning it off and be in stop and go traffic, which really hurts your miles per gallon versus just cruising. Now, the one thing I will say is when I started on my way home using automatic cruise control, I was really annoyed. It is really difficult to do anything on the highway as long as you are trying to pass people and go around people that are going slower than you. It is really annoying. And for two reasons. One is if you are coming up to like a slow car, a semi-truck, and it starts to see that they're there and you're waiting for a gap to open to get around them, if it senses them too late or too soon before you have a chance to get over, it's going to slow you way down to match their speed so you don't run into them. And so it was difficult to get over in the left lane before it sensed that that car was there, especially in medium or heavy traffic. It was really difficult to do so. The other thing is once you are stuck behind a car, if you're trying to get over into a lane that's busy, if you pull out in front of somebody and there's a car in front of you and you pull out really close to them, it's going to, again, slow you way down. And so it basically slams the brakes on. And if you're pulling in front of somebody to go around, it kind of brake checks the people behind you. So I found that when you're using automatic cruise control and changing lanes a lot, it really makes you look like you're driving like a moron because you're always hitting the brakes and speeding up, hitting the brakes, speeding up. And I really, really didn't like that. I almost quit the test halfway through because it was so annoying. The last thing is if people cut you off, it slows you way down. If they cut really close to you, the car immediately slams on the brakes because, again, it's way too close to the car in front of it, and it needs to maintain that safe distance that you've set on your car. So that being said, it's really annoying. I think if you override it a lot by speeding up or slowing down before you know you need to hit the brakes, then you can be very fuel efficient with it. Just like normal cruise control, you have to override it a lot of the time so you don't end up wasting a lot of fuel by running up on people and slamming the brakes on. But that kind of defeats the purpose of it. The only one situation I found that it was pretty good for is if you're on a single lane road where you're just following somebody and you don't really pass a whole lot or change lanes a whole lot. It was actually a lot better for that because it will maintain a good distance and you don't really have to do a whole lot. So that was the one situation I did find the automatic cruise control to do well in, which I didn't think would be the case. If you do use automatic cruise control a lot, please let me know why in the comments because I found it really annoying. And let me know the best things you like about it or dislike about it too.